All right, looks like we're live.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. This is a CPP webinar as well as a podcast episode for Chat Time.
Hi, everyone. Today we'll be talking about the Union of North American Vietnamese Student Associations, or UNAVSA's Collective Philanthropy Project, or CPP, and their beneficiary, Children of Vietnam. So the purpose of this webinar is to dive deeper into who our beneficiary is, what their focus is, and how we as Eastern Canadians and as community members can contribute to this important organization as individuals and as a whole.
So before I begin, my name is Yashar Hoang. I am UVSA Ontario's Vice President of Technology, as well as one of the Eastern Canadian COCOR. So first off, what is CPP? CPP is also known as the Collective Philanthropy Project. It is an annual initiative for Vietnamese student and community organizations to collaborate and partner with in working towards a charitable cause. The idea was to create momentum for a collective national effort under one philanthropic campaign. The CPP campaign assists North American Vietnamese nonprofit organizations or philanthropic organizations to better achieve their mission through collective and collaborative partnership with UNAVSA and their partners.
And so today we have the pleasure of the company of Lettieri, who is the Executive Director of Children of Vietnam. So Nancy graduated with a Bachelor of Science from the University of Virginia. She worked as a Director of Development with Children, Youth, and Family Services, the Boys and Girls Club in Charlottesville, and established a grant writing consultancy before joining the Children of Vietnam board. And now she currently resides in Charlottesville, Virginia with her family and dog Toby. Nancy joined Children of Vietnam as a volunteer, serving on the board for 5 years before being asked to become executive director and Children of Vietnam's first US-based employee. Since 2011, she has overseen the expansion of Children of Vietnam, including programs serving children with disabilities, single mothers with dependent children, and Katu ethnic minority children and families. During her time at Children of Vietnam, Nancy has overseen the strengthening of the Children of Vietnam board, the expansion of both the US and Vietnam staff, and the redesign of its website and communication strategies. She's also responsible for the development of key partnerships and collaborations with a range of foundations, corporations, and nonprofits whose missions and goals align with Children of Vietnam. So without further ado, I will now hand it over to Nancy, who will tell you more about herself and about Children of Vietnam.
Oh, thank you so much, Tiffany and Yashar. I really appreciate that introduction. First, I want to thank you and all of the VSA Eastern Canada members for doing so much hard work this year to volunteer and raise funds for Children of Vietnam. The talent auction, I heard about that, and the 50-50 raffle and your collaboration with the New England VSA. I know it's a lot of work, and for me and on behalf of all of our staff here in Children of Vietnam, I want to say thank you so much. We really appreciate it, and it will make a huge difference in a lot of young children's lives. So first, you heard about me, but let me tell you a little bit about Children of Vietnam. We operate on the collective belief that every child should have the opportunity to live to their fullest potential. Every child deserves to thrive. We were founded by two people, Ben Wilson, who is an American and was in Vietnam for a number of years, actually building a factory, where he met Ms. Lung Thi Hung, who's Vietnamese and is our current country director. They had a common passion for helping children and decided to do something about it. We've been lifting children out of poverty for 20 plus years now. Primary goals are to assist children and families in breaking the cycle of poverty, ill health, illiteracy and homelessness, and then also to provide immediate aid to children and families in crisis. And this could be anywhere from someone who needs a hospital fee paid for, or it could be emergency help during a typhoon. Let me put on a short PowerPoint presentation that I want to flip you through to talk about the CPP that you've been working so diligently for this year. So if 1 second, I'm going to make that happen. Let's see. Okay, everyone should have on their screen a Children of Vietnam logo and 20 years of ensuring every child thrives and has a future without poverty. So the CPP that you're working so hard for is really about building community, and specifically early education with access to clean water in Katu villages. Now there are 52 ethnic minorities, actually, excuse me, 54 ethnic minorities in Vietnam. And the Katu are a group that we've worked with extensively, and they have asked us to help them with some of their top priorities, which early education and clean water are two of them. The villages we work with right now are in Quang Nam province, which is in central Vietnam. So far, we've constructed 50 kindergartens throughout Vietnam, 21 of which have been specifically in the mountain ranges. It's not so easy to build anything up in those mountains, as you can see from the village.
Hi, Nancy. Sorry to interrupt you. You're doing a fantastic job, but unfortunately, we can't see the presentation. Is there a way that you can restart that presentation mode?
Absolutely.
On your end? Figure
out what I have to do. I think I have to say, share my screen. Maybe I didn't do that. So my apologies. So hang on a second. Application window. And here. Yeah, let's see. Let me see if I have the right window open now.
Oh, yes, beautiful.
Okay, so you should see, do you see the 20 years of ensuring every child thrives?
No, not yet. We see a little bit of a darker screen. Perhaps if you change the slide.
Oh, I think actually I have to change the screen. Let me try it again. I apologize, everyone. Share screen.
Oh, no worries.
Oh, I think this is it. No?
Oh, looking good.
Do you actually see? Do you see ensuring 20 years? No, but you see my screen splitting.
Yes.
Okay, I'm still doing it wrong. So you can see I am not great at this.
There we go. No worries. Perfect.
No. Oh. What is going on?
Okay.
Application. Here we are. This is it. Okay. Do you see?
Excellent.
Just
yes, we do.
Okay. Third time is the trick. Thank you for your patience. So we'll flip through a little bit of this slide here, and you should currently see a Katu village. This is a typical Katu village, and in the middle there's a blue building. That building is our kindergarten, one of the kindergartens. It is very important to the villagers, so they put it right in the center, so it's easy for children to walk to. If the children did not have this kindergarten, more than likely they would not be getting any kind of early education. So the daily struggles of these families are pretty difficult and rugged. As you can see, they don't usually have clean water. They take water from the a mountain stream. They have to boil it to use it for anything. They have no early education. And if they do go to primary or secondary school, they have to live residentially. Sanitation is usually going around the back of the house. They have their own language, so there's language barriers. And healthcare is a health clinic that's probably 20 or 30 kilometers, and it's if you're in a crisis, you're not going to do very well. So the project goals for the CPP is to build 6 kindergartens, fully equip them with learning equipment and playground equipment. So we're talking cots and desks and chairs and little cups and even a television. We give that to the children's ages are between 3 and 6 years. And so over the course of the project or the life of the kindergarten, we'll probably have served upwards of 30,000 children. It's about a 20-year lifespan for each building is what we're estimating. Further, we hope to install 6 reverse osmosis water filters to serve the kindergartens and the community. So the goal is the children go home and they have to stay healthy. So even if they had clean water just at the kindergarten, it's really not sufficient. We need it to make it community-wide and raise the health of everyone, including their parents. We really can change their realities. You can see in the lower pictures, they might have had kindergartens. If they did, they were very poor, mud floors, tin walls, thatch roof. During the monsoon season, no one learns anything. And we provide a facility that is colorful and bright. The kids have naps every day, smiling faces, and the teachers are totally motivated to help these children. Plus, once we usually ask how many children will attend, and maybe they'll say, oh, 18 or 20. And then once the parents see this beautiful facility, suddenly you've got 25 to 28 children attending the kindergarten, and all their parents want to go. So what's important is ethnic minorities are 20 to 25% less likely to complete their first 5 years of primary education. This is why we think early education is so important, and as do the community, to get them off on the best foot possible, the best head start, along with their urban peers. The dropout rate is very high in these regions. They're really at a perpetual risk of marginalization. This is what the clean water system looks like. And it's a public access water system. The reverse osmosis system is sometimes placed under what they call the GUL, which is the village community house. And that just tells you how important they feel this water system is. Sometimes it's attached to a lean-to outside of the school. We leave it up to the community to decide where to place this. And then villagers come and they fill up their liter plastic bottles and bring them home from these spigots. In the country of Vietnam, there's only 45% of rural residents have access to clean water that meets government standards. And unsafe water and poor sanitation lead to disease, ill health, lots of diarrheal diseases. In the world, 1.9 million children under 5 die because of poor sanitation and unclean water. So we feel water, sanitation, and good health practices are critical to the well-being of children, as does their community, because this is a priority for them. The funding request was this when we submitted it. For our proposal, for every dollar that you raise, it's matched 1-to-1. Plus, local authorities are contributing their own dollars. And we sign a contract with them so that they must provide a salary for a fully trained teacher, and they're committed to the long-term maintenance of the kindergarten and the water filter systems. The kindergartens come equipped with ceiling fans, lighting, electrical system, water system, indoor toilets. They're usually about 25 by 30. They can accommodate up to 40, but typically there's about 25 children in each classroom. Again, I said they're from 3 to 6 years old. The average contribution from each village authority is about $4,000 on top of what you raise and what is matched. And the match is coming from 3 donors who feel so compelled and passionate about early education. They have pledged this. So it's a really great project. So we have all these partners coming together and making it happen. So that is my presentation. I want to thank everyone for making a difference for these children. They're beautiful, lovely children. I visit up there every time I visit. The community is the Katu, and they are gentle people and very, very grateful, as are we. So I can answer any questions anybody has. Have I turned off screen share?
Yes, you have.
Okay, great.
Anyway, so thank you very much, Nancy, for joining us and talking to us about children of Vietnam and providing the information to help us engage more meaningfully within the community.
I'm delighted. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much, Nancy. So now we will open up the floor to the Q&A session. We do have some that were submitted prior to the webinar, so we'll start with those. But for any viewers that are out there, please feel free to submit any questions via the Google form that we have provided in the chat or in the live chat itself. We will be monitoring that as well. So Nancy, the first question that we do have for you was submitted, and it asks, what motivates you personally to give back to the community?
Well, I've always wanted to do something for my community wherever it was, but as it turned out, I ended up in my life adopting 2 children, one of whom was born in Vietnam. So, you know, it's a really emotional thing when you bring a child into your life. And it's also emotional in that, you know, you're taking a child from his birth country. And there's a loss in that you have to recognize. And of course, I feel there's a gift because I'm giving him part of my life and my culture, but it feels like the right thing to do, to give back to Vietnam, because they gave me a tremendous gift for my child. And that's, and then one other thing, you know, every mother loves their children unbelievably. The emotion and bond is beautiful and tremendous. And I think about the birth mother and other birth mothers who had to make these very tough decisions. And while I'm grateful for the gift that I received, I think it's not fair if poverty is the reason why a parent has to make this decision. And I don't think any parent should do that. So if I can help a family in the community stay together and just keep that family bond, I feel that it's another way I can pay back for the wonderful family I have.
Wow. Thank you for yeah, no, thank you for sharing, Nancy. That's a beautiful sentiment, and the way that you're giving back now and the passion that you have really shows. And so thank you so much. Related to that, what advice would you give to someone who wants to give back, but doesn't really know where to start or put their energy?
I think, first of all, you take an assessment of your skills and then jump in. Say, you know, maybe you're in love with animals. Jump in and say, well, maybe I'll work for the SPCA, and just go in, knock on the door, and say, I volunteer. So find your skills, and then find a passion that you want to contribute. And then once you get there, be present. Show up. When you make a commitment, show up every time. It's pretty hard to run a nonprofit. You're usually always on a skeleton budget. So staffing and skills are always needed. And if you show up all the time, you will be highly regarded. And you might be like me, where I actually, here's my story. I was a grant writer part-time. I had young kids, and I thought, well, I could do something else, but maybe I'll take a little part-time job. And I found Children of Vietnam on the web, and I met the founder, and I was thinking I was going to ask him for a job. But as it turns out, I could tell that there wasn't any money in that organization to pay for me. So I volunteered. I said, well, you know, I can write a few things for you. And 14 years later, I'm still here, still writing a few things, plus a lot more. So I would say you never know where your life will lead you, but if you're present and you dedicate yourself to something, wonderful things can happen.
Wow. Yeah, again, that's really inspiring, considering you can find your passion, or really just reflect on what you want to do and be present in that passion. Oh, yeah. Wow. All right. Excellent. No, thank you very much, Nancy. So the next question we have that was submitted was, and I'm going to quote this question because there's a little bit of context. So what challenges do you face when doing charity in Vietnam? How collaborative is the government officials? I know for a fact that in poor towns in rural areas, the officials are not very welcoming to charity organizations, since they come there and build roads, schools, which eventually increases the people's income. As a result, the town lost its status as a poor town and received less funding and or attention from the government. A long question, but yes.
Yeah, so that's a really nuanced question and observation, and in many ways, that's very true. You can see that happen, and even in individuals, when we work with perhaps a single mom, sometimes we find someone who would just prefer not to break that mold, so that they continue to receive support. What I would say is that when we encounter that attitude, we just leave, because their need is so great everywhere else. So we look for local communities with the government officials who are willing to collaborate with us, and we ask them to collaborate. We want them to either fund the project or manpower or resources. Let us use their office buildings if we need them. Let us train their staff, and they can come out to the field with us. So we select the locations where we feel we will have that collaborative opportunity. And most of the times we're pretty successful. We do find those areas. But the questioner is right. Occasionally you find some challenging situations, and then at that point you can't do any more. And as sad as it makes you feel, you have to go somewhere else.
Yes, thank you so much, Nancy. It sounds like collaboration is a really important part of the work you do, as well as kind of meeting the individuals where they're at. Yeah, which is also pretty important.
Yeah, I would say collaboration is a hallmark of one of the things we do. We have only 9 staff in Vietnam. And just so everyone knows, it's not a very big staff generally. There's myself here in the United States, and I have a part-time fundraiser, and like a hourly bookkeeper kind of thing. So there's not a lot of staff, and this here in the United States, there's 9 staff in Vietnam, and we do a tremendous amount, not just in early education, but we also work with children with disabilities. We have a strong program serving that population, and then a strong program serving children who live in single parent households. So, and then surrounding the whole education arena, we have a big tutoring program for kids who are poor and their parents can't afford to give them extra lessons when they're needed. So with 9 staff, you have to collaborate. You need the local community and the parents working with you together in unison.
All right. Thank you so much, Nancy. Yes, a very nuanced question with a very collaborative answer, I guess. So the next question is a little bit more about the donations and kind of where the donations go, a little more of logistics. But so the question is, what percentage of donation goes into administrative costs? Do you have a pie chart, or maybe if you can discuss where the donations go?
Yes, I don't have a pie chart ready to show you, or else we might be fiddling around with our screens again. I don't want to do that. But I can discuss where the donations go. We try very hard to keep what people call overhead or administration costs low. I would say that we average about 15%, and that 15% pays for office facilities for the staff and office facilities here in the United States. It pays for salaries, electricity, desks, internet, phones. We pay the staff use their own motorbikes to go into the field, so we pay for a gas stipend and also a maintenance fee. So it pays for those kinds of things. Paper supplies, copiers, computers, all of those things are needed just to operate. And that is about 15% right now. But in the United States, the primary cost, to be honest with you, is my salary. And because all the other costs are either donated, I work from my home, I use my own computer. It's a pretty low key, pretty tight ship.
Thank you, Nancy, for the transparency and for sharing. With our Eastern Canadian VSA members, we are actively donating, and so it's wonderful to hear kind of the hard work that goes into each and every dollar. So yeah, thank you. We do have one more submission. So this comes from a member who says, "Thank you for sharing your story, Nancy. Having been a part of the organization for many years and counting, what suggestions do you have for students and youth who want to continuously get involved with the things they're passionate about and not burn out by spreading themselves too thin with their multiple commitments in the community?"
Oh my gosh, it is so true. You can get so burnt out. I think that's a great observation. I think you should, oh gosh, it's even hard for me to balance my priorities. So maybe you're talking to the wrong person. I tend to be a little bit of a workaholic. I'm kind of on 24/7, but I also know that sometimes I have to just shut down the computer and turn off my phone and be present for myself and for my family. So that's what I would say to you. You need to pay attention to yourself and your family and friends around you. And if they're saying, you haven't been around very much when I needed you, you need to change and turn that computer off, or don't volunteer or back out of a commitment, gracefully, of course, but pay attention to those cues, because it's important to stay healthy and keep your relationships.
Yes, thank you, Nancy. Yeah, so Yashar and I are kind of serving as kind of active members, active on our executive board for UVSA Ontario, and I know we also have other commitments. So this question comes at a good time in which we're trying to learn where to express our passions, and so yeah, really listening to yourself and for those external cues. I will definitely be following that.
Yeah, it's okay to say no once in a while, really.
All right. With that, yes, Yashar, go ahead.
All right. So once again, I would like to thank you so much, Nancy, for taking the time out of your busy schedule and joining us and talking about children of Vietnam.
Well, thank you very much. And one more hearty thank you to everyone and all the hard work you've done so far, raising funds for the CPP and the kindergartens. And I will be making reports. Watch our Facebook site. We post at least once a week with all of our activities. And I'm going to let you know that this Thursday, we're opening up a new kindergarten. So I will shortly be posting pictures of that kindergarten. So if you want to see what your kindergarten is going to look like in a couple months from now, check out our Facebook site because it'll be up there probably by next week. I have to wait for staff to come back from the mountains to send the photos, but it'll be up.
Wow, thank you for the invitation, Nancy. Wow, okay. But so besides donating money and kind of following your work, which of course is fantastic, is there anything else or any other ways to get involved with Children of Vietnam?
Well, if you have, of course, there are ways. I do have some technical. I need people who can help us technology. You can see I'm not so good with Google Hangout and sharing. So I have a couple projects along that line that are on my back burner that we need attending to. So if you want to volunteer to work with me long distance, wonderful. If you'd like to travel to Vietnam, you're welcome to do that. I travel usually once a year in March, where I bring lots of visitors and we have a big cycling event and fundraising campaign. And then I travel also in the fall. And then occasionally people come with me in the fall, but it's the rainy season, so it's not always so wonderful. But it's fun. It's an adventure. You know, the never seen raindrops as big as Vietnam's raindrops. They're huge. So if you're interested in volunteering, please let me know. And if you, as a group of you, would like to travel to Vietnam after some of our kindergartens are up, and we could take you on a tour, I could facilitate that for you. We'd happy to do that. Let's see. How do I get my email or phone number out to people? Can you share that? If people are interested, you can share that, Tiffany or Yashar?
Yes, we can.
Okay, great.
Yes, we will be sure to post that on our social media and share it for everyone who's watching and for everyone who will be watching after who couldn't make it today.
Great.
So great. Yeah, thank you for telling us about those opportunities. They sound like exciting projects to come.
Yeah, they're needed.
Fantastic. Yeah,
But yes,
so go ahead.
But yes, it was indeed an informative webinar. We do hope that people out there do understand a little bit more clearly as to what Children of Vietnam's focus is and the goals, especially being this year's UNAVSA CPP beneficiary.
Yes, and if you want to learn more about Children of Vietnam, please feel free, as Nancy mentioned, to go and follow their Facebook page or visit their website at childrenofvietnam.org. If you want to learn more about UNAVSA, so the Union of North American Vietnamese Student Associations and their collective philanthropy project, you can visit cpp.unavsa.org and or unavsa.org, so UNAVSA.org. Thank you to everyone who has tuned in to today's webinar. We really appreciate your presence, and we bid you good night.
Good night.
All right. Good night, everyone.
Bye-bye.
All right. Bye, Nancy. Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.